Start off with giving a quick snapshot of the not too distant past, starting with the financial catastrophe from a few years ago, which has been managed very strategically. Nonetheless, there's still much more to be done on the financial front to bolster Chico's future. Next, the tidal wave of the campfire has receded now, and the recovery from the catastrophe is well underway. And Chico, as a safety net in that recovery, remains strong, as we didn't break under those extreme pressures. And along for the ride are those public safety power shutoffs. What a journey we've been on. Well, Chico's fared very well thanks to the keen partnerships and the bridge building that's occurred on that front. And finally, and most recently, the pandemic that continues to haunt us. Well, we're still in the purple tier like the rest of the state, but our business community remains vigilant and innovative, and the city remains committed to continuing to partner where we can to see this current challenge come to pass. So where does city staff stand amidst these tumultuous times? Steadfastly looking to the bright future that truly lies ahead for our community. We're not dwelling on the ailments of what was. With our reserves fully funded for the first time that I can recall, thank you, Director Dowell. With the Community Development Department that continues to have years of high productivity in balancing extraordinary numbers on the development front, thank you, Directors Vieg and Lindsay. With a city staff that, although weary and worn from so many challenges, their spirits remain targeted on serving with passion and professionalism. Thank you, HR Director Cannon. And with the Public Works Operations team that continues to amaze me on how they balance the immense workload with such a lean staff, from the airport to the wastewater treatment plant to the parks and the vehicles that need to be maintained for your public safety workers to respond quickly, just to name a few areas of that responsibility. Thank you, Director Gustafson. I know there are 3 more departments and directors that deserve highlighting, but you'll hear from them in just a moment. Let me be clear. I believe that the City of Chico will be a top-tier city in the United States in a matter of years, even with its population now exceeding 110,000, if we continue to lean into targeting our resource utilization with the guidance and prudence of the policy directives given on things that we can actually impact. Not getting caught up in the social trends or pretending that we can invest city resources into solving the world's problems, you'll see your local government recover and thrive. As we've all likely heard prudently said, you can have anything you want, you just can't have everything you want. Well, this reality points to having clear objectives and getting to the root causes of local issues that we control, as cities oftentimes find themselves investing a tremendous amount of time, energy, and resources into things that they will never truly fix, just to feel better about themselves. If this city can maintain its focus, Chico will see a responsible business sector thrive, a responsible citizenry celebrate the place they call home, and a responsive city staff that can go home after a hard day's work knowing that they've done something to make their community a better place. I have continued to dialogue with folks about root causes of issues that stir frustration and anxiety in the minds of many in our community. It is my goal to help this city council design an organization to target as many of those roots as possible, be it code enforcement, city parks, roadways. There's a list a mile long. City staff desires to work under the city council's lead to raise the bar, to enable Chico to be that top-ranked city that I referenced earlier. As it's important to note, the city council casts the vision and city staff is excited and obligated to fulfill the mission. It will be a challenging path, but we will ultimately achieve great success. Rather than speaking for 30 minutes about 3 primary areas where your tax dollars are invested annually, I'm going to have 3 genuine leaders that I'm blessed to call a part of the city's leadership team give insight into where your investments are strategically going. Because we see each of you as shareholders in this municipal organization, with the board of directors being those who you entrust with your votes on the city council, who set the policy direction and control the purse strings, while casting the vision for us all, ultimately to enable your city staff to deploy vital resources to this community. Our city operational team is truly excited and looking forward to a brighter future as we redouble our efforts toward focusing on your safety through police, fire, code, effective commerce investments in the likes of roadways, infrastructure, and housing, clean parks and waterways, and always continuing to focus on financial prudence. With that, I'll hand the virtual mic over to Chief Matt Madden. He'll then be followed by Chief Steve Standridge and then Director Brendan Ottoboni as they share the status of the 3 departments that the city invests in most in an annual basis. They'll have about 10 minutes apiece to highlight the path ahead for Chico Police, Chico Fire and Rescue, and Chico Public Works Engineering. With that, I'll throw it over to you, Chief.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. Thank you, Katie, for the opportunity. I just want to say how I'm.
Can I interrupt you, Matt, for a sec?
Sure. Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to preempt you. The mayor is here, and he is going to hop on my computer.
Okay.
And he's going to go ahead and give his presentation. So here we go. Let him know it's down.
I'm going to wait for Katie to step out. Virtual meetings, how fun they can be. All right, good. Good morning, everybody. My apologies for our technical difficulties. You know, the challenges we have faced both as a community, state, and nation have, you know, over the last many months and last few years have been really overwhelming in many ways. My goal is today to let you know that Chico will recover and return once more to a safe, beautiful, and clean city. We have been tested. This virtual presentation today and some of the hiccups that have gone along with it shows you firsthand the life-altering challenges we have faced. The pandemic has ravaged our city, making problems like depression, suicide, illness, financial hardship, and business collapse part of an ever-present story in our daily lives. It has also tested our local businesses, which I'm sure many of us know here today all too well. I am all too familiar with the impacts of the pandemic on local business. As individuals, we must assist those who run and operate our local business. We must wait if they have lines, be patient with their rules, and patronize their stores, services, and restaurants regularly. Make it a personal goal to support local business each and every day as they struggle to survive and make ends meet. This simple act can make a monumental difference. We have much work to do, both as a city and a community. The journey is not an easy one, but we will persist. It is in our nature as Chicoans to persist, to move forward, to overcome, to achieve, to endure hardship and move forward. This is the story of Chico. This is our history, one of overcoming against all odds and building something better, building something stronger. We have started on the hard work which lies ahead of us and have a clear vision to make Chico cleaner, safer, and more beautiful. Our city council has already moved to protect our parks, passing sweeping regulations, which will reduce fire danger, protect the environment, and make our parks safer for all residents. This change will not take place overnight and will not be without criticism by some. In the last month, City Council has moved forward and passed the ban on needle giveaway programs to stop the process of enabling those who find themselves harmed by extreme drug addiction and to protect our citizens from the danger of discarded needles. In addition, Council recently moved to hire new police officers, dispatchers, and park rangers once again so that our community can be protected from those who attempt to bring their criminal enterprises to our growing and beautiful city. While the county and state have helped with the issues facing the unsheltered population, they have fallen woefully short of their goals time and time again, often the times making the problem worse. A lack of targeting the root causes of these issues remains an ongoing reality. From drug addiction to mental health concerns, there needs to be a willingness to drill down on where the dollars are being used. To this end, the City Council has asked for a review of the Butte County Behavioral Health Department to assess where millions of dollars spent in our county are going and identify where the promised help is for those within Chico. Our county also lacks sufficient drug treatment and mental health resources to deal with the issues which face us. In the coming weeks and months, we will work with our county and state representatives to work towards tangible solutions to these problems. In terms of our service providers, progress will continue with the relocation of the Jesus Center, which will focus directly on the goal of moving people from the streets to assistance, to housing, to success. Their former location on Park Avenue will be torn down to make way for new affordable housing for our community, which will not only beautify the surrounding neighborhood, but provide more housing to those in need. In a recent meeting I had with Bob Trouch, the founding member of CHAT, Chico Housing Action Team, we talked about the expanded direction that organization is moving in. You will see CHAT create even more short-term housing to aid our unhoused population in the coming months, adding to the many services they already provide the community. We have also seen amazing steps taken by Joy and Morrow and True North to find the unhoused a place to stay. This is where the spirit to help those less fortunate should and must come from. Our local organizations working together to achieve a realistic and worthy goal. With a unanimous voice, the council is also moving forward with uniting our community behind a city-wide cleanup day this coming spring. We need every organization, service club, business, family, and person to come together behind this effort to clean our town and parks of the trash, graffiti, and garbage which have littered it for too long. While we must give thanks to the many groups which do this each year, this city-sponsored event will enable us as one community to make a difference and show that the city itself is vested and willing to get its hands dirty to make Chico shine. Join us, join all of us in this very important effort. I am pleased to announce that beginning in February, a full-time crew made up of a supervisor, 2 public works employees with a truck and trailer will be tasked with cleaning up and maintaining our parks and waterways and bike trails around Chico on a daily basis. This crew will be dedicated to the promise of restoring Chico to the beautiful city we all love and cherish. At future meetings, I will seek to move forward with sustainability programs, like I have done in the past with the LED streetlight program during my previous term on the council. Solar energy, high efficiency watering, and additional LED light replacement can save the city money and lessen our impact on the environment. I am also currently outlining a continuation of the tree planting program in Bidwell Park to allow future generations to enjoy the natural beauty of Chico's crown jewel for years to come. We as a community have much work to do, as does the City Council. We may have differing perspectives, we may have different understandings, but we must leave behind the arguments of the past and find intelligent and calm consensus as we work towards a brighter future and a city which is clean, beautiful, and safe. I am ready, we are ready. Join us in these efforts. And now, without further ado, Chief Madden.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And again, thank you, Mr. Orme, Katie, for the opportunity. I'm incredibly honored to be sitting here representing the incredible men and women of your Chico Police Department. Katie, I'm gonna try to go screen share here. And if you can see my slide when it comes up, if you could let me know.
We see it,
Katie,
Madden.
can you see it?
We can.
Okay, very good. So I'm here today. I want to speak and just highlight some of the great things that are going on with your police department. I'm going to be speaking specifically about infrastructure and some facility upgrades that's occurring here. We're going to talk a little bit about staffing. We'll talk some about our enforcement efforts and what's going on with that. We'll discuss some crime statistics, and then we're going to highlight some of our programs and community outreach efforts. So if I can. So some of the facility upgrades that we're seeing here at the police department, and before I really get started on that, I really want to give credit where credit is due. A lot of our upgrades are coming from funding that is specifically set aside through our development impact fees for the police department's infrastructure and technology upgrades. So this last year, we had the ability to upgrade and remodel our communications center. This allowed us to change the room and accept the state of California's new Viper 911 system. It also created a more ergonomical improvements for our dispatchers. Our dispatchers work anywhere from 10 to 12 and a half hours a day without, and that's not including overtime. These new consoles that they work behind, they're, but like I said, much more ergonomical. They move up so you can stand, you can sit, and you're able to move around that workspace when they're multitasking and doing so much. So very, very proud. And this was a collaboration between, again, your Public Works Operations and Maintenance Unit, as well as the Administrative Services Department with the Information Systems. We also, I think everybody knows that the city had purchased the old Highway Patrol building next door, and we've been starting to move and remodel and move some of our staff and units over to that building. So here in the center, although this was a picture of it being completely done, it's now done, and this is our new records department that is in that new facility. Another area where I'm really excited about is we created a new training room. With our communicated dispatch and our records management system, it's unfortunately, when we train new hires, we have to do it essentially live. So when you have a dispatcher in training, they're actually in the communications room and trying to learn the system while we're handling calls for service. So this training room really allows our training staff to take our new hires, and they can work off these systems without being live. So they're in a training module and they get to learn the system without all the stress and confusion of actually being in a live communication center. So we're really excited about that. Again, another picture of it being completely done, but information services, we've created a new server room. Pretty much all of your phone lines and data systems for the City of Chico really run out of this room, the 911 center and everything else. So really excited, high tech, top of the line server room with the appropriate protections in place, such as fire. So excited about that. Another thing that we're really excited about is the new microwave radio project that is well on its way. That project is being led by Administrative Services Division with our information system. Our radio system, at least for the police department, is very old and antiquated. I know the fire department and public works as well. So this has been we've talked about this project for a long time, really excited to see it's actually starting to move forward. It is a collaboration through multiple units or divisions in the City of Chico, and it's scheduled to be completed at the end of the year. So that'll improve our radio systems, fire, public works, and also be able to move data through the city systems, such as the wastewater treatment plant and some of our other facilities. So I believe I speak on all of our department directors as well as city manager. We're really excited about this project, and it's a long time overdue. So, and then finally, because we moved records, it created some space, and we're finally able to build an actual armory here at the police department so that we can maintain our equipment, do inspections, and make sure our equipment is up to date and functional and ready to go. Talk a little bit about staffing. As we headed really deeper into this pandemic, several positions here at the police department were frozen. I do agree with that move. It was a prudent thing to do, as you know, we had no idea the economic impacts on local government were going to be due to this pandemic. Clear direction from current council as far as staffing their police department, so they have unfrozen our positions. I appreciate that and those efforts from our city manager. And so now we're in recruitment efforts. I can tell you that right now, the pandemic and some of the other social issues that are going on are affecting our ability to hire and recruit. So we're having to get creative. If you don't know, Butte Community College and Chico State University both have very robust criminal justice programs. And because of that, we see a lot of our local and some of our college grads in those programs interested in law enforcement. We had, prior to COVID, we had a collaboration with Chico State University's criminal justice program and an internship here at the police department where a lot of the students would sign up and actually come in and work in the various units inside the organization. We found that to be very successful as, our young men and women get that exposure and get to learn the job more and develop interest in that. So we're having to get creative, but we're hiring, we've got vacancies in just about every area of the department, from police officer to dispatchers, records unit, as well as several positions at our animal shelter. So we're excited about that. Trying to draw lateral police officers here, which is desirable. A lateral police officer is somebody who's already attended the police academy, has already completed a training program at another agency, and is commission on post certified. So these are people that have proven that they have the abilities to do the job. So attracting those people are really important, and we were able to implement a $10,000 signing bonus to try to improve that area of recruitment. So good things going there, excited about it, and really a priority for us right now is to get our staffing levels up. Talk a little bit about enforcement. So, I think Mr. Mayor brought it up about the park rules and regulations and some of our enforcement efforts there. Really believe that, one of the things that really makes our community special is our parks and waterways. And we've seen some of the degradation and environmental concerns coming out of that. So it is a very, we're kind of in the middle of that, and we need to be, we're working with the city attorney to make sure we're doing things right, that we're doing things with compassion and professionalism. I was very proud of our team and the collaboration that you saw addressing a very large camp in Lower Bidwell Park. That was a collaboration between the police department, public works, and the parks department. It looks beautiful there now. Just went through the other day, and people are out enjoying the park. So I'm excited about that. We do have a very clear and strong direction coming down from city management. And so we continue to work in those areas, trying to work with service providers and do what we can to get people out into shelter and other things. But at the end of the day, we have some real concerns with our environment and our parks and waterways, and we'll be focusing our enforcement efforts in those areas. The other thing I was kind of tasked as I took over as chief back in September or mid-August, early September, was looking at our crime stats. And one of the things that was very clear to me was, although we saw the pandemic really impacting and lowering a lot of our crime stats, we were seeing violent crime on the rise. And so that's a concern as the chief. And so we got creative with staffing that we did have, and we created a hybrid unit that we named Violence Suppression Unit. This unit is really designed to fill the gap between patrol and our current detective bureau. So with our detectives, in addition to being on call and responding out to more serious crimes, they're also mandated by the state of California to investigate certain crimes such as child abuse, sexual assault, domestic violence, elder dependent and adult abuse, and missing persons. So they're always busy. So this really was a unit that can respond immediately to help patrol. In my experience, the faster you get to a scene and start that investigation, the more success that investigation will have. And we've already seen that. So just a few stats coming out of the Violence Suppression Unit since they've been implemented. They've been involved in a total of 17 felony investigations. They've issued and served 19 search warrants. They've recovered 9 firearms during the course of that. They've made 25 arrests, and they've been involved in a lot of cases. Unfortunately, we did have here recently a shooting on Walnut Avenue that resulted in a homicide. VSU was quickly responded, jumped in to help patrol. Detectives also came out, and we were successful in apprehending the shooter and the accomplice. So I'm seeing great things coming out of that unit, and I'm hoping to see those numbers begin to go down as we focus our enforcement on that. Some of our crime data. So overall crime trends, you're going to see overall it's down, and I'm going to show some other slides that will break that down even further for you to understand what's going on. Certainly, as we look at the numbers, the pandemic has affected our crime stats, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. So the good news is that is down, but obviously with violent crime trending up, that's a concern. As we look at overall, it does show on this chart the violent crime is down, but when we break down violent crimes, you're going to see some of the areas of that are actually on the rise. But anytime we're seeing a reduction in these numbers is always good for us. Property crime is down as well. Look at this chart. It's very telling. As you can see, as we entered 2020, the end of 2019, a lot of things were on the rise. And then as the pandemic hits, you see kind of up and downs as we go. But the real number right here is you see a lot of these things starting to drop. And I attribute that to the lockdown and moving into these tiers where people were staying at home. We're going to see burglary is down. People are at home. They're back in their communities, and a lot more watchful eyes out there. I also attribute some of this to our community's efforts to do proactive things to protect themselves. And we see a lot of neighborhoods out there that have used surveillance cameras and different things. And we're seeing a lot of success in our community involvement in helping us solve crime. So these numbers are all really good for us. And then just know also, as we look at some of these type of graphs, they tend to tail off at the end of the year. These are created out of our computer-aided dispatch and records management, but it's all about data entry. So we're always about 30 days behind or so in those entries. So a lot of times you'll see these reductions at the tail end, and that's really because the data has not been entered into the system. As we break down violent crime, we see sexual assault is down. That's very good news for all of us. We do know with a large part of the campus community not being in Chico, we're seeing that number fall, and we're hoping to find ways to keep that number down even when they return. Robbery was up, and then it was down, and then we're seeing a rise back on the end of the year. We also know that some of these numbers are starting to go up as we got into the new year, and I attribute that to some of the criminal justice issues that are having as far as people being held in jail and being released, cases not being to go before the judges and be adjudicated. And so we have some of that. This is my concern here is the aggravated assault. When I took over, we could see that it was on the rise, continued to be on a rise. We're seeing a fall here, probably because of data entry, but we'll keep this and monitor this into the next quarter to see how we're doing in that area. Moving on to programs and community outreach. So we definitely have a culture here at the police department of community policing. And I want to not only commit to that as the chief, but enhance and improve in areas. So one of the things is revamping the Chico Police Community Advisory Board. This is a board that's put together that I meet with, that of citizen and community leaders that provide direct feedback and look into the programs and policies of the police department and provide constructive feedback to me so I can find ways to improve. So that's going well. I've got a great board right now, and we're really getting into some issues with the police department. One program that I've started, it's been a little slow with COVID, but with the Chico Police Community Liaison Program. This is a program that is designed, we're actually starting at the top of the organization with command staff, but really identifying community groups within our community that we feel our relationships need to be improved, or frankly, some of the relationships that might not even be there. So this is a way to really have a conversation for these groups to know people at the police department. So when they have concerns, they have somebody that they know that they built a mutual respect with, and they can reach out and get those questions answered, and we can start building more productive relationships in our community. Another thing that we're doing here is we used to do what was called problem-oriented policing projects with the officers. We're going to change that to community-oriented policing projects. And the idea is we're going to do this as teams. So I'm a team person. I fully understand that when you're on a team, you can accomplish so much more than you could ever do by yourself. So these patrol teams, dispatch teams, records, it'll include all of our staff here, are going to identify projects that they can implement out into the community, get out of our police cars, get out of this building, get out of our uniforms, and really engage with our community and start working on projects as a team. So really excited about that. When this pandemic dies down, you're going to see a lot more about that program. Another thing we developed here I'm very proud of is our new peer support team. And this support team is really focused on mental and physical wellness of our staff here. It's time to kind of address stigmas, and in law enforcement, that's been a strong one. And I want to make sure that our staff here are healthy and well taken care of. So police officers are usually, they're very close, and there's stigmas out there. So working with their peers, I think we'll see a lot more success in making sure, a healthy organization is a productive and efficient organization. And I want to make sure we're doing everything we can for our officers. It's a tough job. Not everybody can do it. And so I want to make sure we're doing that. And then some of our outreach, clearly social media is a big one. Everybody's on it. And it's really time for the police department to get out, tell our stories, and show what's going on at your police department. I've got a slide here just with the Chico Police Canine Unit. I've been in this community a long time, and I happen to know that this community loves their animals. And so our canine unit, they train really hard. These are amazing animals. And if you've been watching the news, they've been an integral part of catching a lot of bad guys in the last few months. So incredibly proud of them. And they're really buying into getting this information out on both Facebook and Instagram. We formed a social media and relations team. Our PIO, Michelle Walker, oversees this team, and we have several officers and dispatchers assigned to that team. And really, it's just a highlight, make sure the community knows our community involvement. And so just a few things, we were the torch for a Special Olympics. We got to run with that, doing some of our social media platforms, reading with kids. We had some fun in November and participated in Movember, and we had some fun with that. And really just showing the human side of this job and what our men and women here do. And incredibly proud of what's going on in that. That team, actually, this was done in like 5 days. They came to me and said, hey, we want to do a drive-through toy drive. We're going to partner with the Salvation Army. And they put this thing together. We brought a lot of donations in to our underprivileged youth in our community. Just good things, a lot of things, good things going on there. And I really appreciate all the work that's been going on with that. So with that, that is a few things that the police department is doing. Again, I just couldn't be prouder of being the chief of police. We've got a great organization full of great men and women doing great things. And that's my report. And so, Katie, I'm going to send it back to you.
Thank you, Chief. I appreciate your fantastic presentation, and you've done some great work. I just want everybody to know that that I have sprayed down my work site from the mayor. He has left the office and has gone home to view. So I just want to appreciate everybody's flexibility as we move along. So I believe we're going to hear next from Fire Chief Steve Standridge. You ready, Steve? Chief?
I am. Thank you.
There you are. So then can I introduce you a little? So I was kind of disappointed. I just wanted to introduce you quickly. So Fire Chief Standridge has been a great partner to the Chico Chamber, and I appreciate his availability and access, not only to us, but to the entire community. The chief's been in firefighting for 26 years, and he's been with the City of Chico for nearly 3 years. And I call you a firefighter. I don't know if you refer to yourself as a firefighter. If you still get out there with a hose and climb those ladders, I'm not sure, but we're looking forward to hearing your presentation. So go ahead.
Well, thank you, Katie. I appreciate it. And good morning to everybody out there. I first want to apologize in advance, as I may struggle a bit throughout this speech due to the lingering effects of COVID, which came on earlier this week or later last week. But it is truly a privilege and a humbling experience to be asked to talk about a subject near and dear to my heart, and that's our Chico Fire Department and the men and women who faithfully serve this beautiful city. As Katie said, it's remarkable to think that I just passed my 3-year anniversary and can distinctly recall one of my first official functions was actually attending the State of the City address. Since then, I am very happy to state that where we are today as a fire department is a marked improvement from where we were in 2018 when I first started. And while we have a lot more to do to make the department's operations more sustainable, efficient, and effective for our citizens, we have made and continue to make tangible progress towards our end goal. As many of our city residents are well aware, the financial crisis of 2008 and 2013 required some very difficult but necessary choices. Unfortunately, in so doing, it also affected all city services, the fire department included. Due to these crises, the city was forced to close 2 stations, took 1 fire engine out of service, and reduced our daily minimum staffing from 22 firefighters per day down to a low of 14 firefighters per day when I arrived. To add to these challenges, the department was also experiencing annual increases in our calls for service. These were most definitely trying times for Chico Fire. Fast forward to today, we have made noteworthy strides towards creating a more operationally sustainable and safe fire department. We have since staffed a 5th piece of fire apparatus, Fire Engine 6. We are operating at 16 firefighters per day. Although not optimal, it is still much better than when I first arrived. We reorganized our command structure to make it operationally focused to provide better day-to-day oversight, safety, and leadership. Through collaboration with our EMS partner, BeautyMS, we have significantly reduced our responses to low acuity medical calls for service by approximately 3,000 incidents per year. This has afforded us much needed capacity to conduct critical training to make us better prepared to deal with the high risk incidents that affect our community. We have also implemented a number of process changes that are designed to make our operations more efficient. These include a computer-aided dispatch, or CAD, C-A-D, integration with CAL FIRE, which allows our 2 CAD systems to talk to one another. This integration makes dispatching resources between the agencies more streamlined and automated, which will result in more timely dispatching of the closest unit to our community's emergencies. We are building on this success by moving towards a CAD integration with BeautyMS, which we hope will be completed by year's end or early into next year. We have successfully implemented a tracking and notification process using an outside vendor to better capture all the commercial fire, life safety protection, and detection systems to ensure they are receiving their mandated annual inspections. We have implemented a pre-fire, pre-planning program that gives our firefighters up-to-date fire-related information that will allow them to make safer and more accurate tactical decisions. I'm also excited about the direction our volunteer group, Company One, is going as they are moving towards a much needed logistical support role that will help ensure we have the needed supplies and support for our firefighters on larger incidents. Unfortunately, the program's evolution has been slowed by COVID, but we hope to get on track by the end of this summer, as a pandemic hopefully will have subsided by then. Finally, we have made several significant upgrades to our training center to include the fire department's first ever live fire training box. This long overdue training enhancement allows our firefighters to practice our most dangerous activity, structure fire responses, in a safe and controlled environment. We have also built a roof prop that allows us to practice cutting roofs, created several forcible entry props to hone our skills, making emergency access into buildings during an emergency, and created a virtual command training center where our officers and aspiring officers, as well as dispatchers, can practice the difficult task of coordinating and managing resources for large incidents to include fires. While I'm exceedingly proud of the progress we've made in these 3 short years, there is still very much to do to make the department's operations as safe and efficient as it needs to be to serve our community. For example, although we have increased our daily minimum staffing, we've done so by leaving a position in our Fire Prevention Bureau unfilled, which leaves that bureau short-staffed to be as proactive as we would like, finding and correcting potential life safety hazards within businesses, hotels, and schools. We are still not optimally staffed for operations, and so we look to remedy that issue as well. We are also in need of a fire station to cover the northern parts of our city due to CAL FIRE closing Station 42 off of North Cohasset Road in 2017. At the time of its closing, Station 42 had provided significant help covering much of that area, which has since experienced tremendous growth, including a large annexation of county residents off Eaton Road. We have other capital needs, such as fire apparatus to replace our rapidly aging fire engines and ladder trucks, as well as remodeling several fire stations. Each of these require dedicated funding to ensure we are able to address these issues before they become a true crisis. Finally, because we have continuously experienced major disasters that directly impact our city, we need to put a concerted effort into enhancing our emergency management function so we can create, train on, and exercise our plans and processes to ensure we, as a city, are prepared to mitigate, respond to, and recover from any disaster we may face. While these last couple of years have been trying with the impacts of several large wildfires, including the Camp and North Complex fires, which were in our backyard, as well as COVID, which took an extraordinary toll on our folks with respectable staffing and responding to our community's own emergencies related to COVID. The fire department and the men and women who serve you remain steadfast in our collective efforts to meet our community's needs. The testament of our resilience and commitment is that through each major event we have faced, there was not a time our folks did not rise to the challenge. Many worked numerous hours to ensure we maintained our daily staffing, which meant time away from their families. Many also went on 2 to 3 week deployments to help protect neighboring communities. Despite the challenges we've encountered, I am still very optimistic about the direction we're going. Our firefighters are some of the hardest working, dedicated men and women I have ever had the honor to serve. They've been through a lot in the last decade, but they continue to show up each and every day to serve the community they love. That is because the men and women of Chico Fire are embedded in this community. They are not a commuter workforce. They are your Little League coaches. They're involved in their churches or with local volunteer groups. Their spouses are teachers, nurses, police officers, and business owners. Their kids go to Chico schools. In short, they are your neighbors and friends. Thus, they derive their sense of worth and satisfaction giving back to our community because this is their hometown as well. I look forward to the coming years as the city's leadership, to include council, the city manager, and my counterparts, the directors, are committed to rebuilding the capacity and capability our citizens expect and deserve of its public safety and city staff. While there's much work that still requires our attention, I am confident we are heading in the right direction and we continue to provide the services needed to protect and serve the community we love. Thank you again for this opportunity. It's been an honor these 3 years to be Chico's fire chief, and I look forward to year number 4.
Thank you, Chief, and we wish you well as you recover for COVID. And we hope that as soon as you're done here, that you head to the couch and get well. So next up, we have from the City of Chico, we have Director of Public Works Engineering, Brendan Ottoboni. And Brendan is a professional engineer, has experience in working in both the private and the public sector. He's been with the City of Chico for 6 years. And Brendan will provide a report on roads and infrastructure. So Brendan, are you there?
Can you hear me?
I can, there you are.
Awesome, thank you very much. Well, good morning. Thank you, Chamber of Commerce and its sponsors for hosting this event, community members, city council, and city staff for having me present this morning. It truly is an honor to speak with you on the great things that we are working on and what you can expect in 2021. My presentation will highlight some identified areas of need, but more importantly, upcoming projects that we are working on in the capital improvement program for the City of Chico. Our capital improvement program is the largest budget in the city, mostly in part due to the cost of construction for this nature of work. We leverage consultants and local contractors in order to deliver a wide variety of infrastructure projects, from roads to sewers, storm drains, streetlights, traffic signals, parking, bridges, sidewalks, bike paths, and landscaping. This program is comprised of funding sources that are almost exclusively, sorry about that, guess I should put that on silent. This program is comprised of funding sources that are almost exclusively restricted in nature, such as grants, which are project specific, gas taxes, state transportation funds, and development impact fees. While this is the largest budget, with the restricted nature of our funding sources, it is limited in the types of projects that these funds can be spent on. In my time here at the City of Chico, however, in my time here at the city, this is one of the most common misunderstandings in government funding. Since my time here at the city, however, which is the last 6 years, our engineering team has secured approximately $96 million in grant funds from state and federal sources. Due to limitations of grant funds, this is not a reliable source for sustained infrastructure funding and maintenance. However, provides a revenue source to still do targeted improvements in our community. Unfortunately, there are not any grant programs that fund ongoing maintenance needs. Therefore, we are still at a discrepancy when it relates to maintenance items such as roadways and sewer. For roadways, we measure the condition of our system through a pavement condition index, or PCI, which currently for the city is a 49. The PCI is a scale that ranges from 0 to 100, 100 being a brand new road, and 0 essentially being a gravel road. In the city of Chico, we have approximately 570 lane miles of roads. Our ideal PCI would be an 80, meaning we can apply cheaper maintenance practices such as slurry seal coatings as compared to much more costly reconstruction and repaving needs once a roadway surface has reached its failure point. Based on the miles of roadway and PCI, we would need approximately $12.5 million per year in order to raise our PCI 1 point each year. Our current annual allocation is about $3.5 million towards roadway surface improvements. Therefore, we have focused on arterial roadways such as the Esplanade, Cohasset Road, Park Avenue, and so on that carry higher volumes of traffic and benefit the community equally. With this funding level, we will not be able to address local roadways, which make up approximately 53% of our network. As time goes on, roadways will continue to decrease in PCI and become more expensive to repair. On the sewer front, our water pollution control plant is a vital component to ensuring adequate capacity to handle ongoing development and new connections that continues to increase the volume of wastewater produced. It is critical that we prioritize projects at the water pollution control plant over the coming years in order to ensure that capacity exists as increased demands are experienced. City staff continues to analyze this and work towards identifying those needs. Additionally, our piping collection system is in need of replacement of certain segments that are as old as 1903. Since that time, the type of material utilized has obviously changed to more durable and reliable sources, such as PVC, compared to clay pipe many decades ago. The source of funding for those sewer needs comes from our enterprise fund in the sewer program, similar to how Cal Water and PG&E rates to keep up with ongoing needs to maintain infrastructure. For the city, this comes from our sewer enterprise fund, which is Fund 850. This is an important component for our community as it affects health and safety through collecting and treating our wastewater. Now, as it relates to our upcoming work, I am extremely excited and proud to report that 2021 is shaping up to be one of our biggest years in construction activity, mainly due to some of these grant-funded projects coming to fruition. This investment will not only improve our infrastructure, but hire local contractors to perform the work. This means trades jobs, as well as buying materials and equipment from local companies, which takes these state and federal dollars and circulates them into our local economy. In addition, this supports our transportation sector to meet these growing demands. Some of the projects that we anticipate coming to fruition and construction this coming year is our Eaton Road Highway 99 off-ramp project on the east side of that interchange. This will construct a roundabout at the five-legged intersection of Eaton Road, Highway 99, and Hicks Lane. Backups at that off-ramp have been experienced all the way back onto the Highway 99 main line. This project will improve that circulation and reduce that congestion. The funding for this project came from state grants through their Highway Safety Improvement Program, as well as funds from Caltrans and development impact fees. Again, all restricted in nature. Our upcoming road rehabilitation project will be done on Park Avenue and nearby roadways. This is going to grind and repave Park Avenue, including installation of new center turn lanes so that we can improve the safety and access to businesses along that corridor, as well as add bike lanes for the new surface treatment. Gas taxes, which are restricted to roadway maintenance activities, will be utilized for that, as well as the council-directed waste franchise revenues. Also, we have two traffic signal projects that will be installing new traffic signals. One on East Avenue at Cactus Avenue in front of Marigold Elementary School, utilizing development impact fees restricted for that project. Additionally, we will be installing a new traffic signal at Notre Dame and Humboldt Road in front of Hank Marsh Junior High School, utilizing not only development impact fees, but also match funds from Chico Unified School District. One large project that has been really reprioritized and we're excited to see come to fruit is Cohasset Road widening. This will widen Cohasset Road from Eaton Road to just south of Ryan Avenue to 4 lanes, utilizing a concrete pavement surface that will provide for a longer life expectancy, in turn reducing future maintenance needs and costs. This is a federal grant for about $13.3 million that we received this past fall through the Economic Development Administration. Next is our Phase 1 Infill Infrastructure Grant roadway at Merriam Park. This will construct a new roadway connecting Bruce Road and Notre Dame Boulevard to accommodate 2 specific affordable housing projects planned to break ground in 2021. The second phase of that project is intended to be the Bruce Road widening, which we anticipate putting out to bid later this year and hopefully beginning construction in the spring of 2022. These 2 phases were part of our $22 million grant that we received from the state of California in order to help alleviate the demands of housing and help accelerate the construction of those housing units. Next, we have an airport bike path, which is just south of Lassen Avenue that burned down this past year. So we'll be reconstructing that with steel and concrete materials in order to be more resilient and efficient. We are utilizing state transportation dollars restricted to bikeways for that project. Lastly, we have a State of California Highway Safety Improvement Program grant to do citywide safety improvements that will perform striping, wrapping flashing beacons, and signal modifications at approximately 70 locations throughout the city. So needless to say, there's a ton of work that we anticipate coming out and being constructed this year. While we have identified maintenance needs, our Public Works team is excited for 2021 and looking forward to delivery of these projects that the community will hopefully enjoy and benefit from. I want to thank our engineering staff that continue to work extremely hard at these projects and make sure they are designed and constructed to the highest of standards. I will leave you with our debut release video of the Esplanade Road Rehabilitation Project from this past year. This project highlights the amazing work that our city staff are capable of doing and showcases their professional acumen. Specifically, I want to also thank Cal Water for their continued partnership and shifting priorities to align with our road rehabilitation work. This commitment allows us to complete our roadway resurfacing after underground improvements are completed, which allows for the pavement to see its longest possible life expectancy. Additionally, our colleagues in the operations and maintenance department have proven to be a successful partnership where our maintenance crews perform in-house work such as crack sealing, dig out repairs, striping, and so on, so that our capital projects can be completed by local contractors in a more cost-effective manner. These crews are true professionals and care about making our community beautiful, clean, and safe. Lastly, our engineering staff put in the attentive and focused effort of even the littlest of details to make sure this investment of taxpayer dollars is done in a way that protects the infrastructure for as long as possible. In 2021, we are also embarking on a partnership with Dr. Dingzhen Cheng at Chico State University, utilizing their pavement preservation program and testing facility. This will provide a great resource to develop pavement mixes that are innovative and designed to have the longest life expectancies. So without further ado, I'm going to now showcase our Esplanade Road Rehab Project. Sorry, it's a tongue twister. And so I will try and share my screen here. Can you see that?
Not yet.
Not yet? All right, let's try. Oh, there we go. All right, now can you
Got
see
it.
it?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Here you go. Well, that concludes my presentation. Thank you again for your time and hope you all have a successful and prosperous 2021. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brendan. That was a spectacular video. We received a preview yesterday, and I think that Heather and I've watched it maybe 3 times. Just outstanding picture and the results of that project this past summer. And we know that one of the great things, well, one of the good things that maybe came out of COVID is that you were able to move the project along quickly because there was less traffic out on the road. So I guess there's one silver lining with COVID. So Brendan, thank you very much. Next, we're going to move to Mark Francis, president of Golden Valley Bank. Mark is a longtime Chico banker. He's grew up in Chico. He's currently not only the president of Golden Valley Bank, but he's also the president of Chico Rotary Club. So Mark, are you ready?
Now you can hear me, right?
There you are. We can hear you. We can,
Yep.
yeah, we can't.
All right, we're gonna share screen here real quick. You know, Katie, what's the best thing that we can all do for the economy right now? It's to get a good shot in the arm. And I hope that all of you will join me in getting that shot that we know that we're gonna need. Enloe Medical Center has committed to vaccinating 50,000 people. That means 100,000 vaccines over the next few months. And as you know, we all get it for free, but it's not for free. And Enloe has determined that those 100,000 vaccines are going to cost about $1.5 million. And that's $1.5 million that may not be able to go into the new cancer center or other projects that Enloe is doing. That's where Ken and Katie Grossman stepped up and contributed $750,000 in a matching grant to fund 50,000 of those vaccines. 50,000 of those vaccines, an incredible gesture. That was a matching fund. The Golden Valley Bank Community Foundation a couple days ago wrote a check to Enloe for $75,000 to be the first one in that matching fund. I know a lot of businesses in Chico are hurting, but I also know a lot of businesses have done well through the pandemic, and I hope others will step up and join us to help fund the vaccine drive. I know there are some others that will be announced next week by Enloe. So join me in getting the vaccine. Register yourself and your business to get the vaccine at buttecounty.net, and then go to enloe.org and donate to the cause. All right. Last year at the State of the City, we were still reeling from the campfire and even the Orville Dam spillway event. I said things like, there's a lot of money in town. We're in local economic times that we've never experienced before. The overall population in the county is down. There's not a lot of good news for the retail hub of the region. We should expect to feel a little softening in the economy. You just can't seasonally adjust out a natural disaster. And all of that was before the pandemic. There was and is a lot of money in town, from the spillway rebuild, the government's response to the campfire, plus insurance proceeds. Now it's the CARES Act, a lot of money going to government agencies, PPP 1 and 2, unemployment, well, at least the amount that stayed in California, and you name it. The government printing presses are working overtime, dumping trillions of dollars into the national economy. Ask any banker, deposits are way up. You know what else they'll tell you? Loan delinquencies are way down. There is a lot of money in town, and that's the way it is around the nation. So what's happening? I can tell you that the economic divide is widening. There's a group of people who are very good at accumulating money. They always will be, and most of this government stimulus money will eventually and ultimately end up in their pockets. Apple just became the third company ever to have $100 billion in sales in a single quarter during the pandemic. And then there's that group of people who live virtually paycheck to paycheck. Unfortunately, most will continue to live paycheck to paycheck. And as with many government programs, the people who need it the least may in fact benefit the most. So last year, I also told you that this whole economic snapshot thing used to be so easy. Several years ago when we put it together, we seasonally adjusted it, and except for building permits, we had a relatively smooth line and fairly easily predictable metrics. But you throw on a spillway incident, the worst wildfire in California history, and then this stinking pandemic, and it all goes to heck. That's not the word I had in my notes, but that's what I'm using. The Chico Economic Snapshot measures quarterly where we've been using 5 seasonally adjusted and equally weighted categories: sales tax, dollar value of building permits issued, average home sales prices, transient occupancy tax, and employment. Overall, we think it's a good look at how the community is doing economically, especially when you look at trends. Although the trends have been pretty difficult as of late. We use 2010 as our base year. We publish a snapshot twice a year, after the end of the second quarter and after the end of the fourth quarter. Unfortunately, we don't get year-end results on all of the components until February. So what you're seeing today is a special report that we prepared for this event with third quarter data. Where we do have fourth quarter data, I'll share them with you. But Katie, I'm lobbying right now to move this event next year to February so we can have a full report. Again, I want to repeat, you just can't seasonally adjust out a natural disaster, especially one the magnitude of the Camp Fire and then following it up with this pandemic. No surprises overall in our index. We had a couple of bad quarters to lead off 2020, and we started recovering in the third quarter. It's hard for us to characterize one improving quarter as growth, but it is certainly leaning in that direction. With the information we do have for the fourth quarter, the indication is that there may not be much change in the index. However, if there is, it might be up slightly. As you can see here, the two biggest contributors to improvement in the third quarter were sales tax and transient occupancy tax, the hotel bed tax. Both of these took a hammering in the second quarter, and the large increases are more attributed to that than actual growth. The third quarter, year over year, has more mixed results, as you can see. The most important here is employment. The number of jobs in the county is down a substantial 13.8% over the third quarter in 2019. Let's take a closer look at sales tax. This graph would indicate that we fully recovered back to the longer-term trend line, but that is not necessarily so. Our local economy was flooded with cash in the third quarter from the CARES Act, PPP, unemployment, and other government programs. People spent the money on taxable items. Thank God toilet paper is taxable. So in that respect, the stimulus worked, but a stimulus can only work for so long. We do have fourth quarter data for sales tax. It's not represented here, but the number is down 8.1% from the third quarter and 4.1% from the fourth quarter a year ago. But that's not catastrophic as many feared it might be at the beginning of this pandemic. Building permits, the total value of building permits issued. As you can see, this has always been the most volatile component of our index. The number and value of building permits goes up just before fee increases or code changes take effect. That stalagmite type of increase in the third quarter of 2019 was due to much of the apartment construction activity you're now seeing on Eaton Road and over at Marion Park. This past year, the value has stayed pretty high. In fact, the total number of building permits issued in 2020 was 18% higher than in 2019. Activity in the fourth quarter, again not shown here, was 57 million. So you'll see another spike coming in our next report. Multifamily units really contributed to that increase in the fourth quarter. 2020 was a good year for construction activity, and interest rates certainly helped that. The average closed sales price of houses from the Chico MLS continued to rise, 449,000 in the third quarter. That's up 51,000 from a year earlier. Dramatically low interest rates, low inventory, and high demand are the primary factors. Inventory is less than 1 month's supply, in fact, considerably less than 1 month's supply. There were 431 closed sales in the third quarter, up from 311 in the second quarter. We do have fourth quarter data, and the average closed sales price was up again, now to 460,000, 11% higher than a year earlier. More than likely, your house is the best investment in your portfolio. Properties stayed on the market for an average of just 23 days. That's down from 44 days a year earlier. In 2019, there were 1,734 closed sales, a high number attributed to Paradise residents buying in Chico after the fire. That dropped 17% to 1,442 in 2020, about the same number as 2018. TOT, transient occupancy tax, took a major dive in the second quarter of 2020 and recovered dramatically in the third quarter as people moderated their stay-at-home habits and ventured out. Fourth quarter data won't be available until next month. And finally, employment. Nothing drives our economy like jobs. By the end of the third quarter, we lost more than 10 years of job growth in the county as a result of the pandemic, and to a lesser extent, the Camp Fire. That's 13,500 fewer jobs in the county, down almost 14%. That is very near the entire population of Red Bluff. With the overall population of the county down after the Camp Fire and the recent acceleration of the exodus from California, this has to be a real concern for all of us. Certainly, as the economy recovers, we'll get some of these jobs back, and we did see a bit of recovery in both the third and the fourth quarters, but we have a long way to go. How long will it be until we get back to that just over 100,000 jobs in the county we had before the fire? It must be a top priority going forward. Now, because this is an off-cycle report, we did a COVID-19 impact survey instead of our normal business confidence survey that we will have next quarter. Here's what we discovered. 60% of the respondents told us their sales decreased since the pandemic began, and 20% strongly decreased. 22% had increasing sales, but just 3% had strongly increasing sales. This is what you'd expect in a natural disaster. There are winners and losers, and the losers outpace the winners. 32% told us that their sales have already recovered from the pandemic, with 47% expecting to recover in the next 12 months, and a really large 21% expecting it to be a year or more before their sales recover. When asked if they were forced to reduce the size of their staffs, 12% told us that they actually increased employees, and 52% had no reduction at all. I think that's the PPP and the EIDL loans topic. It's unfortunate that 36% did experience layoffs, and almost 10% of them are telling us that it was a quarter of their staff or more. 50% of our respondents don't need capital to support their businesses due to the pandemic, but 27% do, and another 23% are unsure. So PPP 2 to the rescue. I only hope it's enough. It is really disheartening to see businesses that have been operating successfully for years put in a position where they need additional capital to stay alive, putting them back financially perhaps a decade or more. 28% of our respondents said their business was at some risk of closing permanently. That's more than 1 in 4, a very high number. But thankfully for 72%, it's not a concern. So what message can I leave you with from all of this? First, get your shot. Register with the county, register yourself and your business, and go to enload.org and donate. Second, the Camp Fire and now the pandemic have blown up our numbers so that nothing is really predictable anymore. We all have a need to be concerned about the loss of 10 years of employment or more, and what that alone is going to do to our economy. Times are tough for many businesses, but they see a way out, a light at the end of the tunnel. While all of these government payments may feel good right now, it's not going to be the government that ultimately bails us out. It's going to be the hard work and the recovery of small businesses that have taken it on the chin in this pandemic. This is probably a pretty appropriate time to remind you that everything you see, that computer monitor you're staring at, the furniture in the room that you're in, the car you drove to work or that's parked in your garage if you're working from home, the house where you live, the building where you work, the roads you drive on, heck, the shirt on your back, or maybe for some of you this morning, the pajamas on your back. Everything you see unless it was put on this earth by God himself, is a result of successful businesses. Businesses that pay taxes and employ people who pay taxes. And it's those businesses that are going to pull us out of this. If you'd like to participate in business competence survey, just email me. If you want to receive notifications of the economic snapshot or take a look at all the details, just visit our website, goldenvalleybank.com. Thanks, everybody. And Katie, back to you. I guess it's time that we get to listen to Ben.
Thanks, Mark. That was a great snapshot. And we want to let you know that the economic snapshot will be available this afternoon on our website, but also goldenvalleybank.com. You will be able to find the economic snapshot there. And thank you to Golden Valley Bank for being the first business to step out with a $75,000 contribution to match the very generous contribution of $750,000 from Ken Grossman and Katie Gosner. Really amazing. We live in an amazing town where truly that we do help one another. So next we're going to Ben Winter, and Ben is the chairman of the chamber board. Grew up in Paradise. He's a Bobcat like Matt Madden. He has worked at Transfer Flow for 29 years in various capacities. He's been on a board member of the Chico Chamber for 6 years. And Ben, take it away.
Well, thank you, Katie. Like you said, my name is Ben Winter. I'm the Director of Business Development and Sales out here at Transfer Flow. I am honored and thrilled to be the 2021 Chairman of the Board of the Chico Chamber. I am also excited to turn the pages from 2020 and begin to chart a course to create a foundation for a strong, vibrant 21. Chamber leadership is still obviously putting the puzzle pieces together to try to understand what the new normal might be. We are excited with the opportunity to connect and partner with the City Council, City Management, and most importantly, like Mark said, our local businesses that bring jobs, revenue, and taxes to our city. That does bring me to the 21 special report. This document supports the pillars and actions that will continue to create and mold a healthy, vibrant community. I appreciate the opportunity to walk through the newly updated pages and highlight some of the strategic alignments under those pillars. To set the stage appropriately, the chamber staff and Half a Bubble Out did a comprehensive review of the pillars or missions set up in 2015. And we believe they are still as stable as they once were. And to create meaning and to create the healthy, vibrant community we want today. Chico still has a higher than ever need for housing due to several factors we heard today, namely the impact of the loss of homes in the Camp Fire, with most of the affordable and attainable homes occupied with relocated residents. Businesses are having a difficult time recruiting new employees. As businesses grow or expand, they lack employment due to the housing of single-family inventory. You'll find in the special report stats year over year, the number of homes being built to give you a picture of that building activity. As a community team, we will be working to increase those numbers in absolutely every way we can. With a blend of homes being rebuilt in Paradise and the active growth in Chico, we hope to see the demand for single-family homes being met. Switching over to police, I would like to also personally welcome the new Chief of Police, Matt Madden, into his position. And yes, go Bobcats. Chief Madden has entered his role just in time to be faced with protests, COVID-19, and a solid hiring freeze. With pre-existing staff levels low and an increase in violent crimes, the force was spread very thin. The chamber, the city, and the police have been working on some great new ideas to identify crimes quickly, to continue to reduce that crime rate in our local businesses. The good news is that the newly seated council quickly voted to remove that hiring freeze, as we heard, and give Chief Madden the start to start searching for new qualified staff. The chamber sent out a survey in December to local businesses asking what their single biggest hurdle was they were facing after COVID-19. The front and center topic was the impacts of the transient or homeless population. The issue ranged from disturbing their businesses, harassing employees and clients and customers. The overall fear was personal safety. Even the chamber office was not immune to these issues. You also saw that the city council acted quickly and passed by a unanimous vote to move the large encampments out of those parks. The city has been acting quickly. You also saw that the the needle exchange program was ended for the next 180 days and maybe longer. These types of changes will help bring cleanliness and safety back to our community. Echoing what Chico Fire Department Chief Steve Standridge was talking about, he was also affected by the hiring freeze. Low staffing and retirement made the department extra lean. The chief has worked extremely hard to restructure the staff and increase training facilities and equipment to stay responsive for emergency calls. The department also acquired a new, very equipped off-road UTV to quickly and effectively respond to fires and medical calls in Upper Park. Brendan talked about the roads in Chico. They do still need attention and continue to have a low PCI despite of the improvements made this year. Like he said, a notable improvement was completed in 2020 was the reconditioning of Esplanade between 11th and Eaton Road. This was made possible by an EDA grant, and the city was able to acquire. Kudos to the city staff for pursuing grant opportunities, improving the roads, and using local contractors. It's a win really all the way around. We look forward to looking or watching those 2021 projects you talked about, and they are also highlighted in the special report. So in conclusion, in the special report, we've identified 5 immediate needs. They're addressing the impact of the homelessness, reducing crime, continuing to improve roads, increasing the number of single-family homes, addressing the pension liability. You know, I am confident, as we heard today, that as we all work together, we can address these needs. There are several actions that Katie and her team will be working on to keep these issues on the forefront in the years to come. Katie Thoma's leadership as the president and CEO of the chamber will help connect and drive progress and alignment to 2021 and beyond. Our chamber board includes a diverse set of local businesses and community leaders that show a passion for the city we live in. The chamber board is committed to supporting efforts that will result in making Chico the safest, most vibrant, premier city in the North State. Please download a copy, read it, review it, ask questions, reach out to the chamber and anybody on the panel today. We'd love questions or comments. Thank you very much and look forward to continuing this year with some clean air.
Thank you, Ben. And that is our last speaker. And as we wrap things up, I'd like to thank our speakers, and I'd like to thank everybody for especially for their flexibility. So we'd like to thank Mayor Andrew Coolidge, City Manager Mark Orme, Police Chief Matt Madden, Fire Chief Steve Standridge, Director of Public Works Engineering Brendan Ottoboni, and the President of Golden Valley Bank Mark Francis, and Board Chair Ben Winter today. And I'd like to give a special thanks too to Heather Yugi, who worked so hard with all the technology. There's so many moving parts with so many speakers. So Heather, thank you. I think it probably took 6 months off her life getting this all together. So Heather, thanks for your hard work. So I'd also like to thank our legacy partners of Cal Water, Levity HR Solutions, Sierra Nevada Brewery, Half a Bubble Out, and Golden Valley Bank. And I also would like to thank our visionary partners and also our media partners. The Chamber's special report will be available today online. And if you'd like a hard copy of the special report, feel free to come down to the Chamber office at 180 East 4th Street and we'd be happy to provide that to you. Along with that, Mark, I heard you loud and clear that that maybe we will gather in person next year in February. Wouldn't that be terrific? So thank you everybody for attending. Thank you again for your flexibility as we do such a aggressive undertaking of having this business summit and State of the City address on Zoom. So thanks everybody. Take care and we'll talk soon. Bye.